Release the Kraken!
We are back in our Missile Command clone, and this time we're going to go ahead and make our attacking element that's going to be destroying our city. We're going to make an asteroid, because that's the way I'm going to go with it. You can make a missile if you like, but I'm going to use missiles to destroy the asteroids. So, here we go. I'm going to jump into Maya. And of course, if you like to sponsor me in some sort of way, I do have a Patreon up here. You can also check out my website and my books and such. And you can always go after NFTs. I do have a bunch. Check them out. We are still, of course, right around May 4th. And don't forget, Revenge of the 5th. Hey. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump into Maya. And the first thing I make, of course, is the asteroid. So this is actually going to be pretty easy. I'm going to go up and just grab a... What should we make for our asteroid? Which is a good shape? I heard somebody say sphere. I'm actually not going to make a sphere. The reason I'm not going to make a sphere is this. So if I grab a sphere and dive into this, you can see that the sphere closes up into triangles at the top, which I don't like doing because when you get into sculpting a shape, this can be a problem. So I'm not actually going to use a sphere. I'm actually going to use a cube. You'll see why. So here's my cube, right? I'm going to go up to make sure I'm in modeling here. Go up to mesh, come down to smooth. Oh, I missed you. Smooth. Here we are. Now what smooth is going to do is, voila, we're going to make our cube into a sphere. But check this out. I'm going to go up one more layer. I'll make this 2. And you can see I have a sphere, but now it is a cubed or a quadded sphere. Okay? It's perfect quads all the way around. Amazing. And I'm actually going to go up one more level of detail. I'm going to go 3. And this should give me plenty to work with for my asteroid. If you really want to go up to level 4, you are welcome to, but this is a little bit extreme. But hey, you know, to each their own. I'm going to go ahead and stop at 3. And this should give me just enough to do what I need for my asteroid. Okay, jump into my channel box here. Grab this guy. I'm going to clear the history on it. So delete my type, history. Let's make it a decent size here. And then I'm going to go into my sculpting tools. I'm going to go ahead and grab this pull tool. It's going to give me a brush. Now it's hard to see the brush in Maya. It's usually a little bit big. If I zoom out, you can see it. To change the brush size, hold down the B key and just left drag. There you go. And now I can use this to shape my asteroid. And you can see as I pull, I can get various structures and such. Now this is pulling really hard, so I'm going to go ahead and dial that down, go into my tool settings here. And I have a strength. I can dial this strength down to something more manageable. And now as I do some pulling, I can nudge this shape more like I want. And all I do is make this somewhat irregular, so it's not just a perfect sphere. Okay, and you can also use these other tools here. We have Sculpt. The Sculpt tool is going to do something similar. I'm going to dial that strength down just a bit. And as I pull on this, you can see I can sculpt out on the shape and get some more irregularity. Now, asteroids in space, depending on their size, are almost always spherical. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this mostly a sphere. I'm going to have some dents and stuff in it. That looks good enough. I don't have to go too extreme. If you want to get those really fine details, you will have to go up one more subdivision level. So for example, if I go mesh and I go up and I smooth it once more, now I can take this and grab my brush here, and I can put some dents into this. So I can take this, I'll drop the brush size down, and if you hold down the control key, you can see it changes my cursor to white. And that means I'm actually sculpting inward, so I can go ahead and push, and now I can make little cavities like it's been hit by other bodies in space. And the shift key, you see it turns blue, lets you smooth some of that out. So I can smooth out that dent a little bit so it's not quite as deep. Make some other spots here. And most of this you won't even really see, so I'm not going to go too heavy on all this sculpting, but just to make it look more asteroid-like. Cool. And then from a distance, it'll look like it needs to be all asteroidy. Yay. Okay, I'll get out of my tool settings here. And I'm going to go ahead and UV this, and go up to UVs, come down to UV Editor. And this should have the default UVs of a cube. Let me go ahead and just dock this here. So get out of my sculpting tool, I'll grab this little pointer. And you can see that this is a cubed UV pattern. However, it's not very nice for painting on. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to unfold it in a more conducive fashion. Go ahead and go up to Create. I'll come down to Spherical. Since this is mostly a sphere, it should give me a pretty good projection. And I will come down to Unfold, and let's go ahead and just do the Unfold. A little bit better. Let's try to avoid these little chunks here, but we can do that manually. So I'm going to jump in here. Edge mode. I'm going to grab these. Get these. Go ahead and go to Cut and Sew. It'll cut those edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew these. So grab these ones. Notice how I'm selecting these and it's automatically grabbing those. And I'll go ahead and hit Stitch Together. Now if it jumps that way, that's not the way I want to go. Hit Control Z. Let's change this to A to B. Do that. There we go. That's better. And then grab these ones. I don't know where these are going to go. It's married to that. So this one. Stitch together. Better. And then here on this little spot, I'll go ahead and figure out where that's actually connected. Go to UV mode here. I'm going to grab these. Okay, so that probably is married to that. So, yep, so there and then here. I'll do that as just a sew. Go to UV mode, double click the whole thing. Once again, I right click, UVs, double click it, and then unfold again. That is a much nicer pattern to work with. Now I want to lay this onto our 0, 1 space, which is this guy right here. So this box. So I'll grab this. Let's go down to Arrange and Layout. Now I'll hit Layout, and it'll go ahead and place it there for me, which is nice. Good, good. I will take it just off these edges, so I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit to get it off the edge. That can be a bit close, so that should give me just enough space on all sides. And now that it's pretty and UV'd, we can go ahead and jump into something like Mudbox or Photoshop and work on it. So let me clear the history on this, delete by type, history, and I will save this so I don't lose the information. You go ahead and just make a folder here. Right click to make a folder. New folder. This is going to be called City Defense Tutorial. So I'll go ahead and just put that in there. And then in here, this is going to be Asteroid. Save it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take this into Mudbox. I'll go to File and go down to Send to Mudbox. And actually you can see I don't have a Send to Mudbox option because my Mudbox is not the correct date. I have Maya 22 up here, but I have Mudbox 2018. But if you have the Send to Mudbox option, go ahead and do that. I'm going to have to do it the long way. So Mudbox. Now you might wonder, why am I doing this in Mudbox and not ZBrush? And the answer is because my students do not have ZBrush in the classroom, and if they use this tutorial, they will not be able to do their texture work. So I'm going to make sure that I'm doing this in a program that we have at the school. Let's go ahead and hit close. If you were able to send to Mudbox, your object will be here automatically. But since I don't have that option, I'm going to have to export this. So I'll go Export Selection. I'll go into my, where are you at, City Defense tutorial. And this is going to be exported. Make sure this is an FBX export. That's going to be my asteroid. Under Geometry, let's make sure that Smoothing Groups is checked. Yes, yes. And then Animation, make sure Animation is unchecked. I'll go ahead and export. Come into Mudbox here. And I go to Import. Okay, and I'll go look for my City Defense folder. Grab my asteroid and open it. Again, if you use Send to Mudbox, yours should be automatic. And there it is. Hey, come down to Paint. Go ahead and click on it. We will need to create a paint layer. Size 2048 is good. Target is good. Diffuse is fine. And I'll just go ahead and name this Asteroid. I'll do Layer 1. Go to Layers, and you can see it here. Okay. Then on my painting tools, I can go ahead and just paint whatever color I want. So let's come down here and pick a pattern. I like this. What does that look like? The controls in here are the same as Maya. So Alt and then left click and drag. And then brush size is B and then drag. If I paint, you can see I can start painting this pattern on here. But this is not the color that I want, so go to Color. And I'll make this like a stony, sort of like dark grayish. And I think I'll go into like a little bit of brown. There we go. Start painting this. Now the paint job on this does not have to be too fancy. I'm going to actually speckle it a little bit because why not? And then it's good for that. I can actually go ahead and make another layer here. Just hit this little icon. It's going to be Asteroid. We'll do Layer 2. Okay, and you can see how I'm on my second layer. I'm going to make this one slightly darker. You're welcome to pick a different pattern if you like. I'm going to keep the same one because it doesn't really matter here. Now as I'm painting, you notice that you can't really tell it's there. And there is a stacking order on our layers. Make sure I hit Done here. We turn this one off. You can see if I turn this one back on, there we go. Now if I do just very gentle strokes here, I get a pattern that I can work with without smearing out the original color. Now if you want to erase an area, there is an erase brush. You can kind of go through and erase as well. So if there's any spots that you want to have more or less of a pattern, you're welcome to do that. Now I want this to blend through a little bit, so I'm going to take this, and this works exactly like it would be in Photoshop. So I can take this, let me pull this out here. Let's say I do 50%. You can see how it kind of blends through. Fancy. Okay, that's going to be good enough. I'm not going to go too extreme here. You're welcome to paint to your heart's delight. But I want to get these paint layers out. So to do that, we're going to go up to File, come down to Extract All Paint Layers. That's good. I'm going to actually set up a folder here. I'm going to put this into the folder that I'm actually making. Now, it took a bit of navigation. Hopefully you found a folder that you liked. but I found my folder. I'm going to choose this folder. And then here are my layers here. You can actually give these names. If you don't give them a name, it's going to give you a default name. Okay. And I do want to merge my channels into one channel so I get like this pattern. If you don't merge channels, you'll get one of each. Okay. And I can go ahead and hit export. Export successful. And then I'll jump into my folder, and there's my channel. Okay, I'll go ahead and just change the name of this. This is going to be Asteroid. And this is the diffuse. Now this did get exported as a TIFF file, because when I exported, I did not choose the correct file type. I wanted a targa. Doesn't matter, but just to show you the default file type on here, you can pick here. If you don't pick it, it'll just pick one for you. I'll go ahead and go into here. Just make sure I pick target again. There we go. Let's try that once more. Yay. Jump back in. Let me get rid of the other one, which is a TIFF file, and I will rename my target file. Yay! And that will do it for this video. You do not have to export your asteroid again. We just wanted the paint layer. Your asteroid is actually right here in Maya. Now, if you want to transfer the color back and you are in Mudbox, you can go up to File and then go to Send to Maya or Send to Max if you have either of those programs. You can see for me it's grayed out because my Maya does not match the correct version type, so I won't have that option. But if you want to see it in your other program, you can hit there and then hit transfer at the correct level, and it should update your file. Okay. If you don't have that option, you have to do it manually. So I can go into here inside of Maya. I can go up to rendering, grab my material. Let's go ahead and just name this. This is going to be Asteroid Diffuse. And then I'll go into my folder. Let's see, I'm one level up under source images. Let's go to scenes here. And grab my city defense. Here's my target. Open. And 6 on the keyboard gives us our color back, and there it is. So there is our asteroid in its colorful glory. And as I'm looking, I can actually see that there's some transparency on this. To get rid of the transparency channel, not that big of a deal, select your rock. Come up to your material editor, and you see transparency. It loaded in an option for us. I'm going to right click on the transparency option and hit break connection. And now it's solid. All right, so that's going to do it for this video. In the next few, we're going to go ahead and make other assets for our project, and then we'll bring those into Unity or Unreal. So stay tuned, save your work, and I shall see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you enjoyed that video just watched, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, we're at 1,400 subscribers. Woo! If you have any suggestions for future videos, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. And if you want to keep up with me on Twitter, it's BruceRF1. That's also in the description. And if you want to support the channel, make it easier for me to make content for you, check out some of my merch or one of my books. But yeah, all that, again, is in the description. Check it out, and I shall see you next time.